Hello everybody, this is Gregory with 5 Minute Catholic Apologetics, where 5 minutes of your time may get you to the divine. Today we're going to talk about the Catholic honeymoon period and how this is a dangerous period for converts. Now before I begin, let's start with a prayer. Nomine Patris et Filii et Spiritus Sancti. Amen. Gloria Patri et Filio et Spiritui Sancto, succutura in principio et nunc et semper et saecula saeculorum. Amen. Before we begin, I do want to recommend that you check out some of the live streams that we've done. I've done about 5 live streams, if not more, by the time this is recorded. And I try to put them on the top of the homepage. But they're long-scale discussions. Maybe some people think they're too long, but about 90 minutes to 2-hour discussions where I have one-on-one interactions. Talk about the church, talk about apologetics, just talk about whatever you want to talk about. But if any of you ever want to come on, please send an email to me under the About on the homepage. Click on the About tab and you can message me. All right, so today we're going to talk about the honeymoon period, which is somewhat common to some people who come to the faith or reverts. And why does this happen? Let's use the kind of Protestant convert example. I think maybe that is a little more elucidative. When a Protestant comes to Catholicism, it's like a whole different world, right? Because it's much more like if you think if you're coming from like the Baptist whitewashed walls to a Byzantine Eastern Rite Catholic Church. We'll just do that, like the kind of drastic examples. You're walking into these, or like the colonial Latin America churches in Mexico, for example. You're walking in these dark churches, bloody crucifixes, a lot of icons or pictures of the Virgin Mary. There's candles, there's the smell of incense. You're like, what? This is crazy. This is so foreign to me. But the person is pursuing truth. And remember, you have to follow your conscience. Once you realize that the Catholic Church is the true church founded by Jesus Christ, you have to follow your conscience. So a lot of these people are on this road. And we talked about on the episode, Why Do Protestants Church Jump? How eventually a lot of them do come to Catholicism because of this. They're pursuing the truth. But it's such a weird world, but they're excited by it. It's like, oh, I can receive the body and blood of Christ in the Mass. I can ask all these people alive and dead to pray for me, intercessory prayer. Not a mediator, but intercessory. You know, I have all these things at my disposal. Now I have a magisterium that can kind of give me a rubric or an anchor unto my Bible reading. So now it's not anarchic and I can just read whatever and interpret the way I want. There's a magisterial teaching that's been around for centuries. Now I'm in line with 2,000 years of church. You know, all these great things. And so they come to the church, they do RCIA classes, they learn about the faith. They supplement that maybe by reading their own Catholic literature or watching or listening to Catholic Answers or EWTN or whatever it is. And they have such zeal and they convert. And what can happen is maybe after 6 months or a year, once they kind of get their bearings, they're no longer so discombobulated when they go to the Mass, because the Mass is like, what's this? Is so radically different than sitting around and singing to music and listen to a pastor preach, or whatever aspect of Catholicism it is, because Catholicism it has so much width and breadth and depth that it's inexhaustible. It's truly inexhaustible. But they can get to a point where it's like, well, I kind of figure out the Mass, I kind of understand purgatory or whatever dogma of the faith, I kind of understand Mariology, I kind of understand all these things. I'm good. I don't need to learn anymore. And I think this is kind of the honeymoon period. It kind of goes away and you're like, I know all I need to know. And it's akin to confirmation, for example. Like I wouldn't say we expect, but kids who receive confirmation around age 13, 14, that's it. They don't continue their Catholic education on their own. Typically, they don't. I should say typically. But parents wouldn't take their kids out of public school when they're 13 years old and be like, oh, you've learned enough of English and math at 13, we'll pull you out. And I think it's the same thing here. It is easy for a revert or a convert, and certainly just a regular cradle Catholic, to get complacent in their faith and like, I know all I need to know about the faith. No. We should be constantly improving our faith, increasing our knowledge of the faith. Now, there's different ways you can do it. Not everybody loves reading about history of the faith. I think learning about the history of the faith is important, but I understand that a lot of people are not interested in that. Or maybe the lives of the saint. I think that is crucial. Even if you look at the Magnificat, which is the daily reader that a lot of people use, between the days, they'll have a little lives of the saint. I think that's really important. But the big thing is like the Catholic faith, the patrimony that we have is so deep, it's inexhaustible. And I think a lot of Protestant converts realize this because before that they might have just had the Bible and whoever their pastor was, especially if it's a big church like Joel Osteen's books or Max Lucado's books or whatever it is. And that's all. And then you go from that, now you have this inexhaustible treasure trove of Catholic literature. And it's truly inexhaustible. I mean, you can go back to the early apostolic fathers. You can read the Didache, which is early 2nd century, so a few years after St. John died. You can read St. Clement of Rome and his letters. You can read Justin Martyr. You can read Irenaeus. You can read St. John Chrysostom's homilies from the 4th century. You can read, of course, St. Augustine has tons of great stuff. Confessions, it's mind-blowing, it's beautiful. You can read Ambrose's homilies. Later on, you can read Summa Theologica. Good luck on that with Aquinas, but you could read that. I mean, and later on, you could read Ignatius' Spiritual Exercises. You could read Little Flowers' works. You can read Imitation of Christ, Thomas à Kempis. I mean, there's just so much writing out there. You can read the Diaries of St. Faustina, for example. I mean, we don't have enough time to talk about it, but it's truly inexhaustible. So whether it be you want to delve into history, and there's tons of history books on the Catholic faith, whether it be that, Lives of the Saints, Reflections of the Saints, theological treatises, encyclicals written by popes. John Paul II, of course, had the Theology of the Body series. Benedict is probably the greatest theologian of the last 300 years. You have all of his writings. My point is this: don't get complacent. Converts and reverts and cradle Catholics, don't ever think that you know everything you need to know about the faith. You don't. Can you be saved by just going to Mass, doing works of mercy, saying grace? Yeah, but why stop at that? It's like I can just eat, I wouldn't say it's a bad analogy, so I don't want to eat McDonald's, because I wouldn't say doing the aforementioned is eating McDonald's. But my point is, there's a lot there. Delve into it. It will enrich your faith, it will increase your knowledge, and I highly, highly recommend it. And throughout our whole life, there are not enough years on this mortal coil. There's not enough years and not enough time on this planet to exhaust the rich Catholic patrimony that we have. Guys, post in the comments. Let me know what you've read, what you'd like to read. I'd like to hear from you. Please hit the notification, subscribe, and share button. Share with others. Until next time, take care. God bless and pray.